Tankfish is a Roblox YouTuber known for making funny videos of a bunch of different Roblox games. He also has an unfortunate habit of showing to children. Let me be clear, this isn't going to be a rehash of the nuke code incident, which regardless was still severely downplayed and has a few disturbing details the average person isn't really aware of. Tankfish has done much more than just putting links at the end of his videos, so I wanted to cover this. So this video is going to be divided into sections and should go over everything that is known and also stuff that I found out that people may not know about. If there's something that isn't included, please join the server linked in the description. Drop me a message there. Let's begin with Tankfish's very public porn addiction. He's previously produced and shared NSFW content of his Roblox avatar to his child audience. The talking point for how this was okay is that the streams were private and heavily monitored. There is of course no evidence for this claim, and it's a very bad argument to begin with. He shared the in an NSFW channel in his Discord server. He advertised the public streams on his Twitter, YouTube community posts, and other social media he had. And even if these streams were magically private, which they weren't, that's still a Roblox content creator showing cropped publicly and then advertising the uncensored within his own server and streaming the streams where he drew this to his child audience. If they were private, what was the need for the heavy monitoring and how did that work exactly? Did he ask every viewer for photo ID? Look at the way they type and judge whether or not they're underage. The reality is you can't make these streams privatized. And even if he did this on Twitch, which he claims he did, and which his audience claims he did, you cannot privatize it. There is no feature that allows this, and minors can have viewed the stream. I don't know why this is a lie that keeps being used by Tankfish and the Chaos Legion staff, and is one that is constantly accepted at face value. Not to mention the community post itself has comments that entirely disprove this stream being age-locked. Aside from the already catastrophic behavior, Tankfish has already made numerous references on his videos, taking panels from comics and adding them to his videos, referencing animal companies.
One bat dragon, not bat.
Fuck off doing something else. YouTube, so whatever, have fun.
And just straight up making an account on showing cropped femboy images and femboy comics with an uncensored ad on his second channel.
Stage 6, depression.
I can't believe I
To trap. Stage 7, acceptance. And if there's a hole, there's a way. It's not gay if you like the ass more than the dick, am I right?
These references and images still remain uncensored to this day, with the only censor being on a certain set of codes at the end of his videos, which we'll be covering soon. The most outrageous part is the video that is age restricted was not age restricted by him, no. It was age restricted by YouTube, meaning he didn't even believe that these graphic materials that he was viewing and showing to his audience were ones that he should have age restricted. Rather than admitting streaming to children live is wrong, we're fed lies to try and bury the situation. So now let's get on to something that we've already opened with, the nuclear codes. If you don't know what the nuke codes are, they're codes Tankfish would put at the end of his videos which are now censored after he got confronted about it. These codes were numbers which could be inserted on a certain website to give you a type of Asian comic that isn't necessarily for all ages. Now, whilst most of these were removed and blurred out, I recovered a sizable chunk of them to illustrate just how bad some of these got. Some of these were so bad that the site that they were hosted on themselves were actually removed entirely, and I had to go on the Internet Archive to find them. I now dedicate this section to inserting and reading the codes out loud, and then reading the tags that follow with these codes. Let's begin. 393 from his Roblox Demonfall video. Some tags including Schoolgirl, Pen. From his Blood and Iron video, we have 391 Schoolgirl. From Tankfish's Roblox D-Day video, 302 Schoolgirl, and Roblox the Mimic Part 2, 397 Parasite, Schoolgirl, The Hood Crime Repression, 353 amputee. I wonder where I've seen that before. Jailbreak in a nutshell. 330. Get ready for this one. Roblox the Mimic Trip to Japan gone wrong. 110 School Mind Pet. Now we'll do the last ones I want to mention. These are from a Twitter post which he reposted and had multiple new codes in them. He claims he didn't know what these were. However, one of the codes in them is a very notable code that most gooners such as himself would know. And it kind of is a no-brainer that when you're making these jokes, you should be checking what they lead to. So I think his plausible deniability is pretty limited here. Here's the main three we're going to mention from this post. 228 next in 200 238 amputee. Now there are obviously a lot more of these with equally bad, if not far worse tags, but I think my stomach has had enough of this and the point's pretty clear. And remember, although he blurred the nuke codes, he still has multiple and references in his videos as covered in the last section. So realistically, it's almost like he put a band-aid over a massive flesh wound. First off, any channel being marked as NSFW at that time is meaningless. At around 2020 to 2022, these channels would have had no sort of restriction. All you had to do is click yes on a prompt asking you if you're 18 or above, which any child could just say yes to. For a decently extended period of this time, Tankfish had an NSFW fan arts channel within his now deleted community server, and you could just access this from the moment you joined. In this channel, fan art was promoted by the man himself, many of his admins has drawn it, and many underage artists had produced of Tankfish's Roblox avatars. You may be wondering, Doonsy, how does Tankfish encourage his audience to draw this? Well, Tankfish streaming his publicly for starters, which we already established was on multiple platforms anyone could view. Secondly, Tankfish would post links in his Discord server which he would even make edits and jokes out of as if it's a meme. Here's him posting a video of himself sending a new code in his Discord server which led to on his Twitter. I think this segues perfectly into the next section. Tankfish has an awesome history with as we've established, but would you be shocked to know that he also defended in his Discord? He then found out his argument was super retarded since it is illegal in his country, and he made an announcement taking it back and proceeded to crawl back into his cave. You want to know the juiciest detail of this little argument? The entire reason he was defending is because of his Discord staff being addicted to meet our first side character, Sad. Sad was an admin of the Tankfish community server and was a notable figure in Chaos Legion, who defended and was generally rotted to a point of no return. Other admins and staff such as Guest defended his actions alongside Tankfish even though he was blatantly a predator for looking at depictions of children in that way. I think the worst part is Tankfish in his response to this made it seem as if he was forced to remove him and that Sad left on his own volition, even though he should have been entirely banned from the community for defending this material. Tankfish's comment section is very telling of the kind of audience he was advertising this content to, most of it being filled with children. Having downloaded every comment on every video in a giant database, me and a few others were able to identify multiple points of interest. First off, he calls himself legal in a comment from 2021, implying he was at the very least a legal adult from that time. Second off, he'd encourage his fans repeatedly to engage with material in his community in said comments. Tankfish would also heart comments clearly made by children, making inappropriate comments about the material he was viewing and showing. Some examples being,
When I see it the real picture I was shocked my mom was front of me.
Join the server for this. V2 big 8 out of 10.
It's so hard typing this with one hand and the other hand in my iPad.
By far the worst comment though that he has hearted, which I found, is a comment made by a user revealing a series he had referenced in his video. When I looked up what this series was, it contained the following tags when I looked into it. School. Hearting a comment like this increases its visibility and also confirms he not only referenced a pedophilic in his video, but he also consumed this material or knew of its existence. So this guy, who is heavily implying he's an adult, who knows his audience mainly consists of children, if the fact that he's a Roblox YouTuber wouldn't have made that obvious already, clearly sees for himself that it's mainly kids viewing this, and instead of thinking, wow, this is of me, I gotta stop doing this, he hearts their comments. And even if we want to be extremely charitable, bare minimum, that first comment is very obviously a child. And that's just one example out of an archive of thousands of comments on his videos. If it's confirmed he was an adult during this, that makes it so much worse than it already is. Tankfish made an apology for this stuff, if you can even call it that. The apology was mostly just deflection and a lack of taking any responsibility. So let's break down the problematic areas of his apology. First of all, in the second paragraph, he deflects the blame into his own community being okay with the new codes, and goes as far as to say he implemented it entirely because of a joke poll that his community said was fine. He's telling us that if a few hundred 14-year-olds over the internet tell him to, oh I don't know, jump off a cliff, he'd record it and upload it for them. The blame still solely lies in your hands. You had the choice to not listen to these underage fans telling you to do this. Tankfish, you can make your audience happy and laugh without the punchline of your jokes being. He then goes on to say when the allegations first came out, the new codes were a thing he did not care about, which is outrageous considering the age of the people watching his Roblox-oriented videos. He then goes on to say the big boys stepped in and he will comply, as if he's being forced to remove the new codes rather than realizing what he did was wrong, before mentioning the posts about the hentai streams with the same points about the stream being private and only 18+, which we've already debunked. Him sharing the in the fan art channel alone makes this a pathetic response. The majority of the rest of the response is basically just him replying to another doc made on him, one which I reviewed and was only about 14 pages. It wasn't that great of a doc. I'm very interested to see how they respond to this video though. Now for the next section, I want to go over probably the most outrageous thing Tankfish has done in recent times that was just ignored by everyone. On April 12th, 2025, Tankfish uploaded a video titled The Roblox Mafia Experience. In this video, he takes a sponsorship from an AI roleplay company whose name I won't be mentioning in this video.
Sorry to interrupt, but I need to get that bread. So let's talk about today's sponsor. So what are you waiting for? Download today on Android and iOS.
This company, even before this video, has been producing multiple advertisements on YouTube that were very inappropriate for minors and very sexual in nature.
My time has come. You must continue your journey without me.
The site being very clearly one aimed at those kinds of roleplays. About 4 months after he uploaded this video, I checked out the site to see what I'd find on there, and the results were extremely grim.
We're looking at the beautiful site that Tankfish has advertised to his audience. Pretty great sponsorship choice all in all. So we've already got some great stuff. All girls you've been hired at an all girls boarding school. That's a little suspect. I don't like that. You look lonely. It's gonna be that type of vibe. Latina Asian baddie. Wow, this site really has everything. Wait, there's tags up here? Let me see what these tags are. So we got male, female, and non-binary. What is BL? Huh? What the f is this? Is BL? Oh, wait. Ah, that makes sense. Okay. Wait, yo, hold on a minute. 13? Why are they on this? Angel Jr. is a 13-year-old central defensive midfielder. Isn't this AI advertised as like dating sexual site? Why is there a 13-year-old here as one of the characters? Is that not a bit weird? What the GL. I'm guessing this one means girl love. So I don't know why there's... That dude does not look a day over the age of like 12. Yeah, next femboys. I have a friend who quite is interested in this archetype. I think he'd really love this AI app. I should show him this later. He might be of keen interest to this. XXX. Oh my god, that is horrifying. He came back from the dead to turn into a AI. Part of a premium subscription to simulate some kind of activity with a dead man. That's really great. Pyramid head. Holy shit. Holy shit. They're not gonna believe this. That's actually crazy. That's actually insane. I actually did not expect that. So anyways, we've made an account now. Wait, let's oh. I'm just gonna be very straightforward. What is this? This AI is so I need to get my freak on. You know what? You know who would be good at this? I'm really not good at this. Yo! What the Dude, this can't be real. He advertised this to his child audience. You can't be serious, right? You can't be serious. I can't believe he took a sponsorship offer from this. This is insane. Alright, I need to...
You
Disciples. Nitro Lloyd could really use the... Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh no! They do have it!
This is how you know Nitro Lord's been here.
Oh my goodness, they've got the mark of Nitro Lloyd. Oh my god! He's literally got it! The disciples have risen. Okay, that... Dude, femboy in a... What? Holy This is terrible. Oh no! No way! Oh my god! Call of Duty character. Cap. Forced. Oh no! No! Let's see Kelligish. Oh my god, Kelligish. Okay, what about Ribs? What about Ribs? Oh my god, Ribs is on here. We're not looking at that. Aside from blatantly illegal roleplays and the other disgusting content on there was a VIP section that was also filled with unfiltered images and roleplays. I think one of the most disturbing finds I had on there was finding Cristiano Ronaldo Jr. as a character you can roleplay with as an arranged marriage scenario. He was 14 at the time of this recording. And from this screenshot where you click on him and get an opening message from him, you can see why it's pretty gross that you can have a real child as an AI involved in roleplays like this. Oh, let's go through these quicker. We're gonna do these quickly. Mafia. Why is Cristiano Ronaldo Jr. on there? How old is Cristiano Ronaldo's son? He's 14! Why the f is he on this site? What the f? That's so f***ing weird. These are like arranged marriage? That's so f***ing weird. No, I'm not doing this. As of now, the site has censored a lot of these, but very minimally and very weakly. By just limiting some search queries, like obvious ones like and but still allowing bypass terms that essentially yield the same result to work. For example, gap, play, or an obvious issue that comes up with this is the possibility that Tankfish was unaware of the sexual nature of this site.
However, he can't plead ignorance to this, considering the main body of my findings were from the main page. Tankfish shows himself using the site within the sponsorship section of the video, meaning he accessed the main page, saw all of the tags in the list that were clearly not appropriate, and he clearly noticed the sexual images that some of the roleplay AIs had, and still chose to ignore all of these warning signs to advertise it to an audience of near entirely children. I would cover this company in more depth. However, there's already tons of videos covering the shady and weird stuff this company gets up to. And the fact it's been using sexual content to advertise over YouTube, knowing Tankfish's history and taking into consideration how blatant the sexual content he was involved in is, it's likely he intentionally took the sponsorship without a care for the safety of his viewers. A Roblox YouTuber at the end of the day should not be taking any sponsorships from an AI roleplay company. In a private YouTuber community server, which I infiltrated, Tankfish was urged for months straight to take down nuclear codes that he'd missed after his initial apology, being so incredibly lazy with the censoring that only after several months were they all finally fully censored. And even then, as we saw earlier, I had mountains of content that he hadn't removed from his video, like the manga that had in its manga series. I think something of keen interest I found was something regarding our favorite Roblox commentary green turd, Parlo. To clarify, I am not defending anything this guy has done recently, or anything he has done overall as a matter of fact. He was a member of this server, and produced a document calling out Tankfish for a lot of what I've mentioned in this video. However, an account mysteriously started messaging Parlo with fake screenshots of the YouTubers in this community server planning to make a giant hit piece on him, which scared him into dipping. A lot of the Tankfish investigation was then thrown out of the window as a result. The reason I know Tankfish was behind this is because he was the only member of Chaos Legion and his community server who was in this YouTuber server. And he would have been the only one to know what YouTubers are in there to fake messages on behalf of. This pretty much goes to show how blatantly dishonest and how malicious he can be alongside some of his staff when they are called out. With such egregious allegations, you'd naturally expect a response doc to be made by Tankfish staff or by Tankfish himself. We already covered his garbage apology earlier, so now I dedicate to covering the response doc written by his admin, Ron. Firstly, there is a section in which they cover allegations that the dark truth about Tankfish video was bribed into being a meme video. This was a weak accusation with little to no grounds to back it, and the owner of the video, to my knowledge, said that he was never bribed. So I won't be commenting on this allegation as there's not really any substantial proof to back it from what I've seen. I'll also try to avoid most of the Grunkle claims since that's directed at them and they have an entirely different issue compared to me. Now we can get to the main stuff I want to address.
The new codes at the end of his videos are not intended to promote corn but more as a joke.
The joke is wow, how funny. So they go to then pin the blame on the fans again and try to justify this as them not explicitly saying the codes would be used to acquire. But here's the thing. They still posted these codes and said that they led to in the Discord community. I think something of interest we see in this post too is that Tankfish never specifies what the new codes were going to be, which also ironically works against him. He was never told by his fans to include hidden codes in his videos. He chose to make those 6-digit codes rather than just a random assortment of numbers, which most of his child audience probably assumed it was. He then brings up an irrelevant joke to try illustrating some garbage point that Tankfish was not intentionally trying to cover up the codes being. Yeah, we can tell he didn't try covering it up.
This meme was not made by Tank, nor did he know the codes in them when this post was made 2 years ago due to its intended comical nature.
This is in regards to a Twitter post I discussed in the new code section. Ron brings up the fact that Tankfish was not aware of the that these codes led to. This is by far one of the worst responses in the whole doc, considering it led to comics containing illegal material. Not to mention, he was confronted about these codes in his server. Of course, he then responds by saying he didn't believe this person, and after realizing it contained the stuff, He then proceeds to entirely throw any hint of accountability out of the window. Regardless of whether he was ignorant of these codes or not, the matter of the fact is he still used these codes, which led to awful content a child should never view.
The new codes, in general, were a long-running joke that the community had agreed to. However, after recent events showed that his audience is no longer okay with such a thing, he admits to his fault and plans to remove all new codes from all videos.
The new codes are not the only problem, it's the degenerate behavior in general. And the fact his videos still contained adult references and jokes as a Roblox YouTuber, after the mass censoring, is a testament to this. It should have never been okay, and it should not have been based off of a very vague community poll. They then bring up the streams again, claiming the following, which we've shown already. Ron then claims,
the stream did not expose his childlike audience to corn. Instead, the audience for the stream was full of older people, mainly friends, who had agreed to watch such content.
This is a blatant lie. I've already shown admissions from minors that they'd seen these streams. The product of these streams ended up with Tankfish's art being posted in publicly accessible NSFW channels. The claim that it was shown privately to older people is completely untrue, and we've already established that early into the video. So I don't know why this is a lie that keeps being used. They then attempt to remove some responsibility by claiming he was still a fresh YouTuber and still had to learn the responsibilities. He's a f***ing Roblox YouTuber. It kind of comes with a giant warning sign that your audience will inevitably be children, so you should be careful with what you're showing them. I don't know how this doc was used and published as a genuine defense. Then they discuss the now deleted Tankfish would post on his Twitter when he had 100k subs. If we're using subs as a benchmark on how mature and responsible you should be around your underage viewers, you really shouldn't be doing YouTube in the first place. Whether he was at 1 million subscribers or just 100,000 subscribers at the time, it's inexcusable no matter what, and it still proves children would have viewed it. Ron then goes on to discuss how Tankfish had a hands-off approach to the server, with the admins managing everything for him, using a screenshot of people talking about this to prove his point. Even with this considered, the entire reason his community was like this was because he centered a lot of his content around degeneracy. His actions and early introductions to children directly led to the server and staff being like this and being so irresponsible. The fact he even did the drawing streams and posted the artwork in the channels should counteract this hands-off excuse. They then discuss how the channels were removed and the only channel that remained was NSFW fan art, and how the private mod channel had no NSFW in them, which feels pretty weak considering the channel that every minor could access was still available for them to see. Even if you'd removed it, that doesn't negate the countless children that had already seen that stuff. Skipping through the Grunkle gaslighting allegations, we reach the response for Tankfish defending Lee. They claim he was attempting to defuse the situation because he had no understanding of the mod team. Why the would you own a Discord server if you can't do basic moderation? They mention how he states people who like this stuff are f***ed up and how he banned it after the fallout, but we catch them here giving a half-truth. Ron writes,
he had said, and best, the two people at the center of the problem, stripped of their rank and removed from the community permanently.
Let's correct this. Sad left temporarily due to the outrage, and Tankfish, as shown in the announcement from earlier, said he'd have him back in the community. It was only due to community outrage rather than his own f***ing critical thinking skills that Sad and Guest actually stayed banned. Even in the screenshot Ron uses in this doc, it shows Tankfish directly stating that people shouldn't care what others off to, and that he's only banned because of an out-of-hand argument.
The primary problem at the time was people discussing talk materials, not posting said materials, which often led to arguments in various topics.
Con material was posted and led to within the server, as we've shown several times, so this once again is entirely a lie. It's also once again inadvertently admitted to that they only banned it because it caused arguments, not because discussing the shit around children is really weird. They then show the con as a lifestyle masterpiece, trying to compare this joke to gaming as a lifestyle to portray it as unserious or out of context. The reality is, making a joke about underage boys being a lifestyle isn't appropriate when your audience is primarily a group of underage boys. The doc goes on to explain how he cannot be a pedophile because he doesn't have victims. Tankfish exposing minors to objectively makes him a groomer, as EPI is considered a form of grooming. So whatever is being said here is incredibly irrelevant. Ron covers a second doc to respond to after this and claims there was no or within the new codes. As far as my investigation went, this is true. The new codes themselves within the videos did not lead to any, but the Twitter posts and some of the jokes made in the videos did still have content which led to pornography and content that was dangerous to children. Whether it was that extreme or not is very important to account for, but it still doesn't take away from the fact that he included references in his videos. He then repeats the same point about the whole argument, followed by the claim that nobody pleaded with him to remove the new codes, showing Ruben pleading about the NSFW channels instead. This is false. We saw the YouTuber community server, and YouTubers within this community kept repeatedly telling him to censor multiple new codes he'd missed or frames that he didn't censor properly, videos that he didn't blur out. They did plead with him to remove it, and not just Ruben, and these pleas fell on deaf ears for months. After this, it's mostly just stuff regarding the people who did the initial exposing, stating how they did it because of a vendetta and such. I'm a random guy in this situation. I'm not going to try commenting on whatever happened between them. This evidence that I've shown in the video is pretty objective either way. All in all, I think it's pretty fair to say with the amount of incidents that this guy's been involved in, that he shouldn't have a platform. There's only so many chances you can be given before you should probably just leave the internet as it is. And in his case, the amount of people that have been hurt by the he's done is insane. It's a disgusting amount of people. And it really goes to show that he's just not someone who should have the platform that he's been given. I think, especially with the AI sponsorship that he took, it goes to show that there's little to no change in how he is and who he is. Maybe someday he might, leave and change entirely. Who knows? But he certainly shouldn't be harboring an audience of children as a Roblox YouTuber after all this. And I certainly think that there shouldn't be any space for forgiveness after all of this.